Let's have a quick look back then to Tuesday night. I guess, Mark, ultimately, Wycombe just one of the worst sides really to concede 2 goals against. They're so good when they get into that position.
Yeah, very good. The first goal's so unfortunate, really. It's come in a period where the game's quite balanced. We started quite well. They had a couple of moments after that, but there wasn't really much in it. And then it's someone running across the line of the ball that it's hit and gone in. So that's frustrating, really. And then the second goal came quite soon after that. There's a foul on Dunks in the build-up of that goal, but nonetheless, we should probably try and stop the lad in the box when we've got good numbers around him and he dodges his way past us to get ahead. And then at that point, we've had Sam's header, we've had, I think, a good penalty shout on Shiloh, and if he goes down at the point of the contact, he probably wins it, but he takes the extra step, which tries to stay on his feet and then nearly gets booked for diving, which is nonsense, really. But so that was frustrating. And then we had a fair bit of the ball. They sit in and let you have it. They slow the game, kill the momentum, the masters of it, really. And then we weren't able to create too much. We had a good chance cleared off the line towards the end. And had we got a moment, you know, at 2-0, the next goal is always going to be an important one. We might have been able to create a bit of a grandstand finish, but we weren't quite able to. And against a really strong, powerful, experienced team, they comfortably saw the game, really, and will have been fairly comfortable in allowing us the ball with the threat that we were unable to create. So for them, it was an important result. They changed things. They played in a fairly different way, in a different system, and almost rolled the dice because they needed a result. And I think we're going to play against a fair few teams in the final number of games that really need results for whatever it is they're chasing. And so we need to make sure we've got that edge ourselves and need those results ourselves for our own targets in the games that we've got coming up, obviously starting at the weekend. But I think the positive from the night as well was there'll be players that'll be better for the game. Shiloh, Joey, Lloyd, all to get back in the team and play bigger minutes again. Very, very important players to our team in the early part of the season, and we've done well. We've missed them, but it'd be nice to see them back to hopefully allow us to have a decent finish to the season.
Yeah, it makes a huge difference, and once again underlines how well everybody else has done to fill the void when you lose 3 key players. With Lloyd, were you pleased with his progress during the game? Did he do everything fitness-wise? Was he hitting the levels that you hoped he would hit?
Yeah, I mean, that's the first any time of game stimulus he's had. He's been back training for about 6 weeks, but we haven't trained in an area bigger than a postage stamp. So it's the first time he's played in the back four. It's the first time he's hit a diagonal. It's the first time he's had to defend his box properly in a game-like situation. So the way the limitations on us a little bit at the moment from a training point of view is that we're having to get players fit through games. So that's a challenge for them against good, experienced teams. But for him to get through 90 minutes, he's missed nearly 4 months now. So for him to get through 90 minutes was great. He coped with that okay. So we'll see how he is over the next couple of days as to whether we think it's right for him to go again at the weekend.
Yeah, did you basically get to the point where you thought the only way we can take this next step now is to put him into a game? That's the only choice we've got because of all of the other challenges.
Yeah, and I think the position dictates it a little bit. You know, if you're a wide player like Shiloh, you can plan on go on for the last 20 minutes and build your way up like that, but you're not going to really often change a centre half or plan on changing your centre backs with 20 minutes to go. So you just might as well just go for it. And we also the game was a little different to normal, but we also know that the games against Wycombe, the ball in play time's the lowest of any team in the league. So we know that a 90-minute game can be a lot less than that when you're playing against them. And therefore, that means it might be a game he can get through. So he was able to, which was important.
Joe Ironside's recovery, you mentioned on Tuesday, it's been really impressive. Is that a case of, I suppose, a certain element of good fortune, but also doing all of the right things? Has he been so rigorous with trying to get back?
Yeah, and he's just a freak, really. He just his body's ridiculous the way it responds to things. He has no pain threshold, full stop. So he just gets on with it and cracks on, and he has a huge determination and work ethic to be on the pitch. You know, he played last year with a cracked sternum for a few weeks, so we know what we've got there with him. He's played most of the year with a hand, thumb, wrist, all sorts of complications. So there's always something, but he's that type. That's why That's why he's so important to the team, and he's so important to the culture that we've got, because he's the type of player, along with others, that you need to have in your team. So obviously a pivotal player for us in games, and great to see him back on the pitch on Tuesday, and we'll see how he's responded to that, and again what it looks like for him for the weekend. But hopefully, touch wood, that gives him an opportunity to have a good finish to the season, which helps us too.
Yeah, you mentioned that he's been keen to start for several weeks anyway. So presumably in his mind, he's all ready to go for this weekend. Do you think he has a chance, or does he need a few more minutes?
No, there's a chance. Yeah, definitely a chance. Yeah, I mean, he wanted to play from day one. He just said strap it up, but I mean, it was literally impossible for him to do that. So he understands that he couldn't have played before Tuesday, but his desire to play is like ridiculous. So that's terrific. He's in terms of the injury, we're quite comfortable with where he's been at so far, and fitness-wise, he's missed a little bit, but not so much, and he's kept himself going and done everything. So we're not too worried about him. So he's got a good chance for the weekend.
Yeah, I suppose for the medical team with that sort of player, it's a different sort of challenge in that they're so keen to get out there. You have to make that assessment as to whether there's going to be any sort of long-term damage. And then as a manager, sometimes it can be a hard conversation if they're really keen to go, but you're fairly certain that it could be a bigger problem further down the line.
Yeah, I think we have decent communication. Mikey and Matt work well with the players in that sense, and they try and come up with some common ground and agreement early on of what this looks like being, and how long it could potentially be, and what the steps are that everybody needs to take. So we're not daft. We're not ones to take too many risks with players from a physical point of view, because we know that the impact of that can be longer than needs to be. So sometimes you have to roll the dice with someone and play them, because the other options are just limited in certain positions. So of course we all have to do that. But I think there's a good understanding. I think players are fairly understanding that we've got their best interests at heart as well, which is quite important. We're not going to take stupid risks regularly on players, and we're not going to force them to play when they're injured. I think that's respectful and understanding that they've got long careers ahead of them, hopefully, and we need to look after them and get the best for them and have them available as often as possible for us. So it's finding that balance all the time amongst the players and the staff to make sure that we've got as many players fit and available as possible. We've come through a spell of a lot of key players missing for large periods, and we've come through it well. And hopefully we can finish the season with a few of those available.
Is Liam O'Neill okay after Tuesday night?
Yeah, Liam was sick. He was due to start on Tuesday, actually. So that was another change we had to make late on. He was sick in the day. So I don't think we're going to see him today, because we just want to give it enough time to settle down. But hopefully we can see him tomorrow. So we'll just touch base with him later on and hope that he's got that out of his system, and see whether or not he's available for the weekend. But it's obviously a bit disappointing, because I think it would have been a good game for him. That's why we planned on him starting it, and we planned on him not playing on the Saturday because he was going to play on the Tuesday, and then he fell ill. So yeah, frustrating one for us, because I think he'd have been quite a key player for us in the game.
With Shrewsbury then, as with a couple of sides we've seen this season, they've basically drawn too many matches of late. They're very, very hard to beat, but they show that actually draws don't do too much for you.
Yeah, defensively very strong team. As you say, they've had some good results, a good draw against Rotherham in the week, and actually, but probably could have edged that game. They had some good chances in the game, and Rotherham's keeper had to play well to keep them in it. So they would know physically a strong side. Very athletic at the top end of the pitch, got some good experience in the pitch. We had a tough game there earlier in the season where we weren't probably at our best first and foremost, but then the sending off really changed the flow of the game, and the game ran away from us when we were sort of in it. So we've got to try and recover from that. We've got to try and create chances and look at goal threat against the team that have a very good defensive record. And like ourselves are still scrapping for things. I think we're 6 points ahead of them at the moment. We're in super form at the Abbey, and we have to try and continue that this weekend. Yeah,
it's been a great run of form, and to win 5 in a row. I haven't sat down and looked back through the record books, but at any point, at any time really, to have that sort of run is brilliant.
Yeah, I think whenever you get consecutive results, I've said this before in the league, it can always do really well for you in the competition in terms of the league table. And then obviously if you can do it at home and you make your home ground a difficult one to come to, that's important. And we have to try and keep doing that, because we do want to make sure we've got a record to protect there where we've done quite well. And we want to make sure that people understand when they come to play us there, it's a difficult game. So we have to make sure we deliver the performance that makes that a tough game for Shrewsbury and gives us a chance of taking points, because we're not where we want to be yet. We've got to keep striving towards it, and we want to try and respond from the last couple of games if we can.
Yeah, as you've said, they've proved a match for all sorts of teams, really. It's been the lack of goals that has been an issue. Therefore, does it mean, I guess, almost inevitably the first goal on Saturday is particularly important? If you get your noses in front, it puts you in a good position.
Certainly, the first goal's been fairly important in a lot of our games. I think it's fairly standard. It's probably the same last year. I guess it's the same in a lot of games and a lot of leagues. It is an importance, but we have to show, number one, an ability to score that first goal and then be able to chase the next one, and also an ability to recover from a losing position if the first goal goes against us. So I think all those things are important. They haven't shown hugely goal threat throughout the year, but we know they've got players that can cause problems. You know, in Udo, Bloxham and Bowman, they've got three strikers there that are all capable physically and caused us huge problems when we went there. And we need to make sure defensively we're strong and aggressive to cope with that.
Cool, that's great for me.
Hi Mark. On your side's defensive records, since the turn of the year, I was looking back on it. It looks very good. How pleased have you been with that, and how important is it to get back to that, given the last two games?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously important. I think since the new year, we've had a really good turn of results. I think we've looked at goal threat, and in the main, we've been defensively quite strong. But we know at any moment that teams can cause you problems and can score goals against you, because the talent and in this league is really high up. It's no shock that Oxford top scorers in the league, Wycombe really aggressive team with good goal threats. It's hard to keep clean sheets in the league, full stop. So the more we can keep, the better. I think we're on 9 or 10 in the league, which is good going, and we have to try and keep doing that as best we can to limit chances on our goal and to make sure that we are in games, because we know that if we can get ahead in games, we're fairly good in protecting leads. But we also have to make sure we don't get counter-attacked on and give the opportunities to teams when we're back in the game. You know, we've conceded late in the last two games when we've got the game in a period where we think, right, we're starting to get momentum. If we can chase the next goal, then it's game on. And the other team have gone down the other end in both cases and put the game to bed. So we've got to try and be good in those situations. But as much as we can, we want to be a well-oiled team at both ends of the pitch, a threat on their goal, which I think we've always been, and defensively solid threat, solid team, which we've been a lot of the time, but not all the time.
Does Harvey Nibs have a chance of being available for Saturday?
Yes, Nibsy will train today, so he's got an opportunity to be available for the weekend, which is good. So yeah, we're starting to get back to some good attacking options.
Great, thank you.
Mark, just a quick one, really. I guess how important is it to be celebrating women's football weekend this weekend?
Yeah, really, really important. I think I've quite openly said for a while now, one of the ways in which we build our club is by its natural resource and its supporter numbers. And so we have a responsibility, firstly, and multiple markets where we can do that. So in every area of society, we want to try and encourage people to come to games. And I think the Her Game 2 initiative is an excellent one. I think we want to be a diverse club that is inclusive and allows everybody to come and enjoy football and for what it is. And you know, the club's doing some really good things in female sport. You look at the women's team playing at the Abbey last weekend and a good result, and they play there again in 27th of March. So hopefully people can get behind that. That's something that Ben Strang's working hard with the women's side of the team to work. And Darren Marjoram was in with us last week at the training ground. He's been in a few times for training throughout the season, as has Ben Yeoman. So that's been good for us to try and share some best practice with them. They had a workshop last week, Christoph Locke, one of the directors, and Mark Durand, around resilience and things. It's something that the first team did a couple of years ago, and it's another strand of which we're trying to support those. And then last week we had a big staff meeting where Charlotte Crisp, who runs our girls and women's football programme, has updated us all on the number of girls and women that we're engaged in, whether that's coaches or young girls throughout our talent pathway. I think The growth of the girls programme in the club's been excellent. I think the desire from the owner all the way through the board to really engage the women's team and make it a central part of the club is important. And then part of that spinning off is just female supporters and understanding that everybody's welcome and we want to create that environment. So I think we're quite looking forward to seeing the number of female footballers on show this weekend in the stands to come and support us. I'm proudly wearing my Amber Bells badge, which Emma Smith has given me, and that's another supporters group that for female fans to be part of and to create that sort of network and community of football fans. So yeah, I think for our club it's great. It plays in line with where we want to take this, and we want to be that family club that everyone feels part of. And if we can keep raising the awareness of women in football and the opportunities that there are for women and girls to develop and engage with our club, I think that's all for the better.
That's brilliant. Thank you, Matt.